licensed clinical social worker. I've been in practice for 25 years, originally from New York. And I had a private practice there for many years. And as I was in my practice, what I started to realize was that it was very isolating. I felt like I didn't have other people that I could speak with, that I could share ideas with, or even consult with in regards to cases. So at that point, what I ended up doing was inviting some of the therapists that I knew to my home. Because in New York, you can have an office in your home. And so I had an office outside the back of my house, and I was able to, separate from my personal home. So I invited these therapists over to the office, and we started to talk about how difficult it is to motivate, to get people to come into therapy, to find resources, to get referrals. And from that point, I started having a monthly peer support group. And what I ended up doing was inviting different speakers. We'd have a psychiatrist or a sex therapist or somebody, whatever they had that there was a specialty, and they would bring that information to our group. So eventually what happened was it started out with 3 or 4 people who showed up, and the next month it was 10 people. Eventually it became a resource of about 40 clinicians at this point. And we have monthly meetings, and what that actually does is it helps you to be able to network what you're doing, as well as learning what other clinicians are doing. How to present yourself as a professional, and how to get your office set up so that when people come, they see that professionalism, as well as making sure that you protect them and their interests and confidentiality. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the slides. So what I recommend a lot of clinicians do is find another clinician who's in the same place as you, or an already established clinician who has one day, like I don't usually work on Fridays. So if you find somebody who has a day that they're not using their office, see whether or not you can start off by subletting with them. So this way you don't have that high overhead for you. The other thing to take into consideration that I learned over the years was I originally had an office in Wellington. So when the insurance companies would pay, it was based on that zip code. When I moved to Lake Worth, all of a sudden my fees got reduced. I had no idea that that was going to happen. So sometimes you have to also pick certain areas that you know, I guess, have maybe higher incomes that the insurance company is going to pay a little bit more for. Now, how to increase your cash flow, because we're all trying to pay the rent, pay the phone bill, pay for all the paper you have to give out, all those folders, all the cost of the internet. So part of that is when you join those health plans, you're going to start to get referrals because all of a sudden you are on their list of providers. And so if they need somebody to be seen in Palm Beach Gardens, then they're going to look for you on their list of providers. I never give them a number because they might say something higher than I was thinking. So they might say, well, I can afford 75, and you can say, okay, I can work with that. Also, to have your credit card authorization on file, what you can do is I set up a cancellation policy. So if you cancel it in less than 24 hours, and that's on my contract for treatment that's in that flash drive you can see, you can put how much you're going to charge for that canceled session. And so what I do is I charge $50 for a canceled session. Some people charge $100, it's up to your discretion. A lot of times I will just waive the first one. If it turns out that, my son's throwing up or my car broke down, I will sometimes give them one free pass. And I say it that way so that they know there's no second one. And so again, that's when I set those expectations with the clients beforehand about the cancellation policy, about my fee, about how it's going to be paid.